Hello again, welcome to Free Maths Lesson. We're going to look through this foundation paper, that's paper 2. You're going to be sitting on Friday. It's not long to go, but whatever that is going to be easy paper compared to the non-calculator, because you have access to the calculator and there's a lot of things you can do with the calculator. So make sure when you start this paper, you have calculator at hand. Guys, again, it's 80 marks. Make sure you try and attempt every single question on this paper. If you're gonna leave half of the paper blank, there is no possible way that you would get 60% of the mark and get a pass grade 4 or above. So make sure you attempt every single question. Doesn't matter how difficult it seems, you need to have a go at every single questions on there. So we will start off with the really easy questions, grade 1, then grade 2, grade 3, then grade 4. So you need to be attempting every single questions, and it will take you a lot quicker to go through the first few and a lot longer to go through the last few questions. Change 3 weeks into the days, really straightforward. We can go through that and saying 3 times 7, that gives you 21 days. 2 times 3 is 6, times n is 6n. 0.7 as a percentage, so decimal to percentage we multiply by 100, so it'll give you 70%. Write down the temperature in order, start with the lowest number first, so as biggest the negative number, it'll be the smaller. Okay, so -6, -3, 2, 5 and 7. Write down the sensible metric unit that could be used to measure the height of a mountain. So again, it's a height. We generally use those measurements in meters, because you could do the kilometers, then the max you can use is about 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers at max places. Okay, generally we use is meter. Okay, weight of a button going to be in grams. Those are the sensible units that we use to measure these things. 4 numbers add up to 76. One of the number is 13. Okay, the other 3 numbers are each the same number. Work out the value of each of the numbers in there. Okay, 1 second. Hello? Huh? Nah, I've not managed to get through to him. Ah. No, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, sorry about this. Sorry. Okay, I was on the phone. One of the number is 13. The other 3 numbers are each the same number. Okay, work out the value of each of those other 3 numbers. Okay. So they're saying they're exactly the same number. So what we can do is, we know that one of the number is 13. So we do 76, take away 13. So obviously what's the other 3 numbers add up to? We can work that out. So they add up to 63. And then we take 63 and divide that by 3. 3 goes into 6, 2, 0 remainder 1. So it's going to be 21. So we know it's going to be 21. Here's the rule to work out the cost of buying a number of floorboards. Cost is 55 times number of floorboards. Okay. Probably buys a number of floorboards, the cost is 330. Work out how many floorboards did he buy. So remember, each floorboard will cost him £55. So if you do 330 divided by 55, you get 6 floorboards. That's what you get. So we're doing 330, that's the total cost, divide by what's the cost of one, which is 55. Again, it's a calculator paper. You can use your calculator to work that out really quickly. Here's the list of numbers. Find the mode. Mode is the most common. So we know the 6 appears 3 times, so the mode is 6. Range is the biggest number, take away the smallest number. So we got the biggest number here is 14. And then the smallest number is 5. So we're doing 14, take away 5. That gives us 9. Work out the value of x. Remember, PQR is a straight line. That says here as well. So we know, assuming anything, it says there. And the straight lines add up to 180 degrees. So we got two angles and we need to find the third one. So at that point, they should add up to 180 degrees. So all you're doing is taking away 85 and 30. Sorry. So we're going to take away 115 from 180. So 180 take away 115. So you get 565 is your answer. Okay. Give reason for your answer. So you're saying angle at in a straight line adds up to 180. Angles in a straight line add up to 180. 20% of the cars sold last year were electric.
Never brings someone like RDJ back without.
Sorry. Now write down the ratio of the number of electric cars sold last year to the number of non-electric cars sold last year.
Never bring.
And we know what that's going to be. Okay. Yeah, I'm just checking if there is any comments or anyone watching this live. 20% sold were electric. That means 80% are non-electric. Okay. And that's all we needed. Okay, give the in its simplest ratio. So electric cars sold last year to the number of non-electric cars. So you can say 20 to 80. And you say write your ratio in simplest form, which is 2 to 8. And you can divide both by 10 and then divide it by 2, it gets 1 to 4. Jamie drives his van for 150 minutes. He stopped for rest. Jamie then drives for 75 minutes. show that Jamie drives for less than 4 hours in total. So we need to change everything into hours. Okay, so this 150 minutes would be 60 times 2 is 120, add 30, so 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Okay, that's what 150 minutes is, because 30 minutes is half an hour. Okay, or you can divide 150 by 60, you get 2.5. Again, use the calculator because there's a 1 hour's got 60 minutes. So when you're going from 1 hour is 60 minutes. So when I'm going from hour to minutes, I'm multiplying by 60. And if you're going 60 to 1, you're dividing by 60. So I can do 150 divided by 60. It's a calculator paper, so you can do that easily. And then we're doing the same thing. 75 minutes, again, divided by 60. You get 1.25, which is 1.25. So altogether, we have 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is 3.75 hours. Okay, so add them together. Add 2 hours and 5 minutes, sorry, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 30 minutes. It gives you 3.75 hours, which is less than 4 hours. Car travels for 2 hours at steady speed of 65 miles per hour. It says in here, look, 65 miles per hour. So 65 miles in 1 hour, and then another 65 miles in 1 more hour. So altogether we travel 130 miles. That's the distance traveled. That's it. Distance traveled by the car. Factory makes mountain bike and road bikes. Each bike has disc brakes, rim brake, and caliper brakes. In June, the factory makes a total of 240 bikes. 102 of the bikes are mountain bikes. Okay, so we go already those three different things. Okay, so we can make total of 240. So we get total is 240. So that's been used. Then 102 of those bikes are mountain bikes. So I go mountain bikes are 102. That means this one is going to be 138 to add up to 340. 75 of 110 bikes with the disc brakes are mountain bikes. So 75 are mountain bikes and the total 110 with the disc brakes. Okay, so we used that and that in the right places. 75 out of 110 are mountain bikes with the disc brakes. 105 bikes have a rim brake, so that's 105 there altogether. Okay, so we use that number as well. So now I can work out caliper brakes, because 110 and 105 gives you 215. So the caliper brakes has to be 25 to add up to 240. 20 of the mountain bikes have caliper brakes. So 20 of the mountain bikes with the caliper brakes. So that's 20. So that has to be 5. Okay, and we can work out the rim bikes, total number of rim brakes with on mountain bike. Okay, so we can look at the mountain bike because they should add up to 102. So we got 95 here. 95 add 7 gives you 102. So we know the 7 bikes have rim brakes on mountain bike. So now we know they add up to 105. So we know this number here is 98 to add up to 105. And then obviously the last one, we have road bikes as well, because it's 75 add 5 is 80, add another 30. So we can say 35 will give you this one. So we completed this three-way table, generally around 4 marks, since 3 marks in this case. And I should add up this one as well to 138. Okay, they add up to 102. These ones should add up to 240 as well when you do that. simplify n times n times n. So if you're adding them, it would be 3n. Because you're multiplying it, is n cubed. Solve that. So you add 4 to both sides of the equal sign. You get 5k equal to 30. And that means divide by 5 on both sides. You get k equal to 30 divided by 5, which is 6. Again, if you don't know that, you use your calculator. Question 14. 120 students in a year. Complete accurate pie chart. So when you're working out the pie charts, you should always add up. So it should add up to 120 because we know 120 students took part in these things. And we should work out the angle for each section as well. Okay. So we know the biggest angle going to be for Spanish. Why? Because it's got 55 more people doing that. And in a pie chart, it's a circle. They should always add up to 360 degrees. Okay. So we can work out what would it be. So 360 divide by 120. That gives you 3 degrees per person on the section. You have to give 3 degrees per person. So 120 degree will cover up that 360 degrees. Okay. So 45 people. So you do 45 times 3, which is 135, which is given to you here on the pie charts. Okay. Look. And then you do the same thing. So for Mandarin, we have 60 degrees. And then for Spanish, we have remaining. That adds up to 360 degrees. Okay. So 55 times 3 will give you 165. And when you add them, they should add up to 360 degrees. Okay. And that's the main thing. Then you take your protractor, line up with one of those things, and then draw 60-degree angle. I can't use protractor on this basically. So you just need to make sure that you do it properly. Use line up from here. You rotate 60 degree that way, or you rotate 60 degree that way, and then you get this section to be labeled as Mandarin. Okay, and then the remaining would be Spanish. Okay, that's your 165 degrees there. In another pie chart, the number of students in year 11 studying French represented by the 150-degree angle. Navi says this means the French was chosen by more students in year 11 than by the students in year 10. Is Navi correct? Explain your answer. Now, Navi can be correct because 150 degree is a bigger portion, but now in year 11 they might have done their exams and would have left kind of things, and at that point in time year 11 might have only 5 students. Then that's not going to be the case, is it? So we don't know how many students there are in year 11. If you know exactly the same number of students represented on those pie charts, then yes, you can say that. Otherwise we can't really say because we don't know the total number of students in year 11. So we can't really make that statement. So okay, now we can be correct if we knew the number of students in year 11. There are 20 buttons in the box. There are 6 blue buttons, 9 green, and 5 red buttons. Jay puts 12 more buttons in the box. The buttons are either blue buttons or red buttons. Jay is going to pick at random one button from the box. Probably that this will be blue is quarter. How many more red buttons did Jay put in the box? So we have 20 buttons. Again, these kind of questions, if you don't know, you're going to do something with it, okay? Look, I read the question briefly and I still don't know what exactly it is. It's a 4-mark question. But I would start the question with something I know. So there are 20 buttons in the box. And then Joy puts 12 more buttons in the box. So how many buttons are there altogether? That would be 20 plus 12. And I know that would be 32 because there are 32 buttons after J puts 12 more buttons in the box. Okay, and that would get you 1 mark, regardless whether you can do anything else with it or not. But we done something. We read the question, we done something with that. There are 32 buttons in the box, and the probability that button will be blue is a quarter. So what we know is we need to find a quarter of 32. Okay, so that means 1/4 times 32. It's a calculator paper. You don't have to do it in your head and say it would be 8. You can just put that in the calculator. So there should be 8 blue buttons in the box for the probability to be a quarter. That means J added 2 blue buttons. Okay, and now remember these buttons are either blue or red. So he would have added 10 more red. Okay, so that's altogether 12 buttons added there. Okay, how many more red buttons did Jay put in the box? You must show all your working. This is all the workings we needed to do. Okay, so we had 6 buttons to start off with, and if we have 8 buttons after you add 12 more buttons, that means we added 2 blue. And if we add 12 buttons, take that 2 away from 12, that gives you 10. So we know that 10 buttons are added onto it has to be red. Okay, and this is 4 marks. And again, you wouldn't get there unless you make a start with something you already know. So it's always important to make a start, and then it generally follows through what the answer is going to be. Right. Okay. The train travels from Derby to Sheffield. The travel graph shows information about the train journey. It generally asks you to complete that. Work out the speed of the train. Give your answer in miles per hour. Remember, it took us 30 minutes, okay, from there to there, and then to travel 35 miles, okay. So we generally do the miles per hour. So if you do 30 minutes and travel 35 miles, then in 1 hour, another 30 minutes, you would travel another 35 miles. So in 1 hour, you would end up traveling 70 miles. Okay, so we can get the speed as a 70 miles per hour. That's it. Train stays in Sheffield for 15 minutes, so that's 15-minute gap. Okay, Uh, from there to there. So we need to draw a straight line because it stays there, it doesn't move. Okay, so another 15 minutes goes by and the train doesn't do anything, so that's that part of the graph. A village hall needs a new heating system. The cost of the heating system is 9,000. The community grant will pay 85% of this cost. Hello? In that quarter, right. Community will pay 85% of the cost. Village council will pay the rest of the cost. Work out how much village council will pay. So village council will pay 15% of 9,000. So all we have to do is change, because you're using calculator, we change 15% into 0.15 as a decimal and multiplying it by 9,000. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to do it, because it's a calculator allowed on this one. So I would rather just put these numbers on the calculator. You can do 10% and work out 5% and so on. Okay, so 1,350, I guess. 0.15 times 9,000. So we get 1,350. That's it. You can do 10%, which is 900, and then 5%, which is 450, and add them together. That gives you 15%. Is 1,350. But calculator allowed, so you can change percentage into decimal and then multiply by it. A cube has volume 512 centimeter cube. Cube means all three lengths multiplied together. Those are exactly the same. Okay, so that and that are exactly the same. So x cube is 512. So you want to work out what the one length is. So we need to do cube root on both sides. Okay, so that gives you x equal to cube root of 512. Right, so as long as I know is 8 times 8. 8 times 8 times 8 will give you 512. Okay, so x is equal to 8, because 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. So when you do cube root of 512, so you're saying what number multiplied by itself 3 times gives you 512, which is 8. So we know the length of the cube is 8. And if one of the length is 8, that means all of the lengths are 8. So surface area means area of all the faces. The cube has 6 faces. Okay, and the area of one face is same as all other faces. So 8 times 8 gives you area of one face. So we got 6 of those. So we need to do 64 times 6 will give you the area. Okay, or surface area. So area of all 6 faces. We get 384 centimeters square. So area of all 6 faces is 64 times 6. Here's the inequalities shown in here on the number line, where you're saying the y, this inequality says y, because this is y line, is less than or equal to, because that circle is shaded, 2. Write down the largest possible integer value of y. So which biggest value of y that it can take place. So biggest value it can take place is 2, because the y has to be less than or equal to 2. Show this inequality. So we're going to do circle on 4, -4, and circle on 2. Now x can be -4, so we have to shade that circle in. And you're saying x can be -4 or bigger number this side. Okay. And it has to be less than 2, so it's this side of the 2. So you just join them up with the straight line. Make sure you use a ruler to draw those straight lines. 200 is a product of prime factors. So you write down 250, two numbers multiply to get you 250 is 25 and 10. This is 5 times 5. They are prime number, and the 10 is 5 times 2. They are prime number. So we can say 250 is equal to 2 times 5 cube. 5 times 5 times 5. Okay. It doesn't say you write it in index form, but if you write it in index form, it still gets you full mark. Lowest common multiple of 30 and 25. So which means which number, if you write down 30 times table and 25 times table, what is the lowest number that both number will go into? So this is the times table. These ones are easy. Otherwise, you can sit there for a while and you still wouldn't be able to get to the number that both number will go into. So 150 is the smallest number that's multiple of both 30 and 25. So it's the lowest common multiple. But remember, you can write down factors of 25, which is 5 times 5. Okay, and factors of 30, which is 3 times 10, and 5 times 2. Okay, so I can make 30 with 2 times 3 times 5, and I can make 25 by doing 5 times 5. You can use this method using product of prime factor. So if I wanted to make the lowest common multiple, I have to write one of the number, 2 times 3 times 5. So I can make 30 using these three, but I should be able to make 25 as well. And to make 25, I need another 5. So that's why I have to add another 5. So this is my lowest common multiple. This 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. We know that from here. And 30 times 5 is 150. Okay. You're sharing money into this ratio. So you add the parts. So altogether, between three of those, Sid, Tam, and Musa have 10 parts. 2 add 3 add 5. So we're sharing 6,900 equally into 10 parts. That gives you 690 per part. And then all I have to do is use that 690 and multiply by 2 to get the SID's amount of money. So we get 690 times 2. So 1380. Okay. And multiply by 3 to get the times share. 690 times 3 it gives you 2070, and then we got 690 times 5, which is 3450 for Musa's amount of money. Now this looks really tricky, but actually one of the easiest one to get the 5 marks on this. Okay, so now if I were to look at this one, just bear with me, you can read through the question yourself. Okay, I'm gonna quickly check if there is any comments on here. There was a chat option here. Okay, sorry. I was just checking if everything was good or in right place. Okay. Yeah, so here's the part of the Maxon's garden or Maxon's garden. The circle inside the triangle circle has a diameter of 7 meter. So if diameter is 7 meter, then the radius would be 3.5 meter. Okay. Maxine will cover the shaded area with the gravel. So shaded area means that everything inside the triangle except the circle. So we can work out the area of the circle and then we can work out the area of triangle. So let's work out the area of triangle, something you can easily work out, okay? So area of the triangle is half times base times height. Some people call it base times height and divide it by 2. So we can do half times base, which is 16 meter, multiplied by 14 meter. Again, you're using calculator, so you can do this very easily. You don't need to do anything different. And we get 112 meter square. So if you cover entire garden with gravel, you need 112 meter square. But we need to remove that circle part of it inside the triangle. So we need to work out the area of a circle, which is given to you in your formula sheets. Okay, it's a pi times radius square. So we do the radius square, which is 3.5. 3.5 multiplied by 3.5 and then multiply it by pi, which is 3.1428, whatever that is. So we get 38.5 at one decimal place. So area of circle is pi times 3.5 squared, which is 38.5 at one decimal place. Okay. Again, I'm not using a scientific calculator, so this might be issue there. But we got two things that we needed. Now, if I wanted shaded area, is the area of triangle, which is 112, take away 38.5, that's the area of circle. We get 73.5 meter square. Now each bag of gravel covers 12.5 meters square. So how many bags of gravel do I need? Okay. So all I have to do is I need to divide that by 12.5. That's answer here, saying how many 12.5 goes into it. So I'll do 73.5 divided by 12.5 and we get 5.88 at 3 significant figure. Okay. That means I need 5.88 bag of the gravels. Okay. Can you buy 0.8 gravel bags? No. So what we can say is we need 6 bags of gravel. Okay, that's what we need. Must find that each bag of gravel actually covers only 11 square meter, means it covers less than what he expected. So he'll need more bag. Okay, so we need to do 73.5 divided by 11. 73.5 divided by 11. And that will take you to 6.68. That means he has to buy 7 bags. So yes, you will need to buy more bags, which is 7 bags it works out to be. The point C is on the centimeter grid. Okay, so the radius of this circle is 2 centimeter. Now the point P is at least 2 centimeter from point C. So P can be minimum on the circle. That's the minimum where the P can be. Okay, at least 2 centimeter away. So at least means it has to be more than 2 centimeters. So it can be anywhere. This could be P, anywhere outside, not inside. So shade the region where P could be. So she should have shaded outside of the circle and not the inside of the circle, okay? So she shaded the regions where the P cannot be instead of the region where P can be, okay? That's the mistake Nadia made. Total weight of potatoes grown in a farm is 1/5 less than the last year. And so this year is 1/5, which is 20%, okay, less than the last year. So last year was 100%, and that means this year is 80%, okay, because that's 1/5 less, which is 100, or you can say 5/5 is the last year, and this year 1/5 less, so that's this year amount is 4/5, okay. So this year is 8,000 ton, so we can say 80% is 8,000, okay. Or what we need to do, saying 4/5 of something, 4/5 of something is equal to 8,000. So what is that something? So we need to do the opposite, basically, kind of thing. So we know the 80% is 8,000. So we can work out 10%, which is 800, and then the 100%, which is, no, I got that wrong, sorry. Divided by 8 to get 10%. So dividing that by 10, not 10, 8, it gives you 1,000. Okay, so the 100% would be 10 times 100, 10. So we do times that by 10 as well. It gives you 10,000. Okay, so last year it would have been 10,000. So same thing, he was 4/5, so multiplying by 5 and dividing it by 4. Okay, so divide that by 4, you get 2,000, and times it by 5, you get 10,000. So the last year it would have been 10,000 ton, and if you now do 1/5 of 10,000 is 2,000, which is less than 2,000 less than 10,000 is 8,000. So it's the reverse percentage question. Okay. Okay. Slightly tricky, but we can get there quickly. Okay. So the mean of ratio between the mean of A and mean of B is 3.25. So we know the mean of A quickly. Okay. What do you do to work out the mean? So mean A would be add the numbers up. So we could quickly add the numbers up. 276 plus 400 plus 157 plus 139. I get 276 plus 400 plus 157 plus 139, and then divided by 4 number because we got 4. So I had 972. 100, 200, 400. Seems right to me, divided by 4. So I get mean of A to be 243. Okay. Now mean of A and mean of B is in the ratio 3:5. Okay. So that's mean of A. And mean of A goes from 303 to 243. So we are multiplying it by 81 to get to 243. So we're timing it by 81. So we multiply this one by 81 to work out what's the mean of B going to be. So we know it's going to be 405. So we know the mean of this 6 number is 405. So we just need to work out the middle number, that missing number. So what we're saying is mean of B is what 405. Mean B is 405. So 405 comes from when you add these numbers up. 530 plus 500 plus 270 plus 440 plus 320 and x. And then you divide all of that by 6 because that's 6 numbers. Okay, so all I'm doing is solving this equation. So multiplying both sides by 6. So we're doing 405 times 6. So we're saying what's the total going to be of those 6 numbers. Okay, so times that by 6. And we know the total should be 2430 when you add these numbers up, all 6 of those. So 5 of them number we know. Okay, so we add them up and take that away from 3430 and we get that leftover number. Okay, so I got really rubbish calculator here, which takes a little longer. So we got 530 plus 500 plus 270, that's 1300, that's 2060 then. 440 plus 320. So yes, we get 2060 plus x. So x value going to be 2430. Take away that 2430, which gives you to 370. So you take away 260 from both sides. So it gives you x to be 370. Right angle triangle, calculate the value of x. So if you have a right angle triangle and if you're looking for angle, we're going to be using SOHCAHTOA. Now, this is formula given to you, but obviously it's not given to you in that form. So you need to properly go through this, or you can use this trick, okay? So we're looking for this. So we know the opposite to right angle is always going to be the biggest side, because the biggest angle, and the opposite to that would be biggest side, which is your, call it hypotenuse, that h. Okay, and then opposite to the angle that you're looking for is called opposite, and the one right next to it is adjacent. So we don't really need to do anything with the h. We're looking for, we know the opposite and we know the adjacent, and we're looking for angle. So this is the one that's got O and A both at the same time. So we're going to be using tan. So we're saying tan of an angle x, okay, it should be equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay, so we replace opposite with 7 and adjacent with 4. So we're saying tan of the angle x should give you value 7 over 4. So how would I find x? To find x, then you can say I'm going to take the tan on the other side. So divide by tan means tan inverse of 7 over 4. You put that in the calculator and you will be able to find the answer. So I do inverse tan of 7 divide by 4. And I get inverse Inverse tan of 7 divided by 4. I guess 60.3 degrees at one decimal place. That's the formula for density. Okay, so saying density is equal to gram, which is mass, divided by centimeter cube, which is volume. You can use that to work out whatever you need. Okay, work out the greatest number of metal rod that can be put on a trolley. So each metal rod has a volume of 1500. So we has a density 8 and the volume 1500 centimeter cube. And we need to work out the mass of the metal rod. So work out M, we need to multiply both sides by 1500. So all you're doing is 1500 multiplying it by 8. So you can work out that would be mass of this would be 8 times 1500. That is 12,000 gram, because this is gram per centimeter cube. Okay, so that's 12,000 gram. And we're dealing with the trolley that works in the kilogram. So we're saying 12,000 gram, divide that 12,000 gram by 1,000, because 1,000 gram makes 1 kilogram. That gives you 12 kilograms. So 1 bar weighs 12 kilograms. So maximum mass of the metal rod that can be put on a trolley is 300 kilograms. So we take 300 kg divided by 12 kg to work out how many bars can you put, basically. So we go 300 and divide by 12, which means it's 25 bars can be put on the trolley. Sketch the graph of y equal to x square. So if I do just y equal to x square, it would look like that. But if I'm asking to put the plot the y equal to x squared plus 2, that means whatever the x squared is, you will get that same thing. Okay. Then you have to add 2 to get the y value. So when you add 2, you move 2 places up like that. Okay. So graph will look exactly the same with 2 places moved up in every single place. So this is what the y equal to x squared plus 2 would look like. Okay, and you need to state this crossing point. Wherever the graph crosses the axis, you need to write that down. Fibonacci type sequences, when you have to add previous two terms to get the next term. So a plus 3a will give you 4a. 3a plus 4a will give you 7a. 4a plus 7a will give you 11a. And so on. Okay, so fifth term of the sequence is 286. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we know the 11a is equal to 286. So a is divide both sides by 11. So 286 divided by 11. So we know that a is 26. So work out the value of a. We just done that. And that's it. Again, if you had any questions, you can drop it in the comment. I'll try and go through those as I see those comments, because I don't know how to look through those parts on the live stream. Mm. I don't know if whoever watched it, hopefully that would have been useful to you. Okay, there is a question on here saying, someone, could you explain question number 18? D mods. Someone. Okay, I'm gonna try and explain that. I don't know. Whoever watched it, hopefully that would have been useful to you. Okay. So I've just went onto my phone to see if I can. Question 18. Go back to question 18 and explain that again. All right. Okay. All right. So you see the cube. The word cube means all the sides is like exactly the same length. Okay, so if I have 1 centimeter that way and 1 centimeter that way, this is a square. And if you have a depth, that's also 1 centimeter, then it's a cube. Okay, so the cube has a volume 512 centimeter cube. That means three numbers that multiply exactly the same, 1 1 1, that gives you 1 centimeter cube. But we wanted something that's exactly the same, three numbers that's exactly the same. When you multiply them, you get 512. Okay, and you can work that out by doing cube root. So in your calculator there's a cube root button. You can look for it. It's generally next to the square button depending on which calculator you have. So X square button on top of the next to it, the cube button, and then the cube root would be on the shift and the press cube button that will be on the top, which looks something like this. Okay, 3 and X inside. So this is what might be, I don't know, it's not exactly the same, but that's what it should look like. Okay, and then press 512 inside the cube root and you will get 8 as an answer. So once you get 8 as your one of the length, then if there are 6 squares that makes up the cube, okay, the faces, if you open it. And if you want to look for the surface area, I need to work out the area of those 6 surfaces. So these squares, 6 faces, okay, that's one of the face. Then you have one square at the top, okay, one square obviously on the side. That's just the three face. When you draw it, you can only see three faces. The other three faces are hidden, like a top, front, back, top, bottom, and two sides. There are 6 of those, and each face have 64 centimeter square of area. So when you wrap it all the way around, you have 6 lots of 64, and 64 times 6 we get you 384. I hope that helped you. I'm saying I'm not drawing that with my mouse, I'm using a pen. Okay. Hopefully that would have answered your question. I'm guessing that's about it. If there is any more question, you could let me know, and then I'll try and go through that. Okay. Again, I'll try and incorporate that in the next live video. Obviously, I can be here for a little longer because I spared about an hour for this. So if anyone needs any more question or anything that they need me to go through in detail, let me know. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this would have helped you get 1 or 2 extra mark. That might be a difference between you getting that grade 4 and your final results. Okay. Good luck with the exams. Hopefully I'll be on around same time, around 8 o'clock tomorrow, to go through the higher paper or something similar. Okay, this is, by the way, June 2025. Okay, I need to put that in the description. That makes it easier for someone to find this. Okay, so June 2025, paper 2 on Edexcel.